Welcome to the Silver and Black Hole podcast on SB Nation, the Silver and Black Pride Media, and Nightfall Media. And I got my boy with me. This is like one of my best friends in the world. Um, he known each other probably close to a decade now, just about. And I'm proud to say, I'm proud of the work that he does. And this is our show. What's up, brother? How you doing tonight?
Hey man, living and breathing. What can I say?
I didn't know we were gonna be twins tonight, rocking Nike jackets. You know what I'm saying, black Nike jackets.
Hey man, it's all for the Raider Nation, man. It's all for Raider Nation.
This is always too is night. Night is making sure some of this convo tonight. What's going on with you, Night? You staying safe, brother?
Guys, I'm hanging in there, man. What's up, Raider Nation? Been on a little hiatus, but I'm ready to talk some Raider football, man.
Yeah, let's get it,
All
man.
right, Raider Nate us. We're gonna go live with our phone lines 253-993-3651, 253-993-3651. This is the Silver and Black Hole podcast. All right, Nick. So first and foremost, the Raiders have made about 8 or 9 free agent moves so far this offseason. Okay, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
talk strictly about free agency right now. Um, but the move that I think, and I hate to start off with this but it's the subject that everybody, it is the lead subject. But by the Raiders signing Marcus Mariota, I'm a 2-year deal. It's 17.5 million. Could get up to 37.5 with if all the mountain of escalators and incentives are hit. But if not, it could be a 1-year, $75 million deal in case it doesn't work out for either one of them. But what it tells me is that the Raiders are sticking with Derek Carr, and what they're going to do is invest in an offensive weapon or two, and they're going to invest even more heavily in the draft with their defense because they actually know and feel that it's not all on Derek Carr and the way that he plays football and the way he commands the offense and runs the team. It's more about Derek Carr having some weapons around him and the defense playing better so the team can win some games. The flag doesn't fall on Derek Carr.
Well, I tend to agree with you, but I'll take it a step further. I think it also motivates Derek Carr because now he's in new surroundings. Obviously, first and foremost, before I go any further, let me welcome everyone to season 2 of the Silver and Black Hole podcast here on the Silver and Black Pride Podcast Network. Uh, so now that we got that out the way, I will continue. Uh, I think with Derek Carr, I think Derek Carr has such a Mamba mentality. I know he listens to a lot of criticism, some of it unwarranted, some of it is warranted, but a lot of it is unwarranted. I think it's unfair to put all the pressure and point all the fingers on Derek Carr because football is truly a team sport, and if you don't have the weaponry to necessary for you to excel to a higher plateau, you're not going to be successful in the National Football League. So I think it behooves the Raiders, especially being in a new town, a new city, a new state, to give Derek Carr some weapons to work with. And I agree with you. I think they go through the draft. I think they also too they may pick up a couple of free agents here and there. But I think with Derek Carr, I think it's a twofold thing when you talk about Marcus Mariota. I think Marcus Mariota lasts a year. I think I'm leaning more towards a year with $7.5 million. But I think it more so it's more of a thing where you kind of push Derek Carr, but at the same time you enhance Marcus Mariota. Maybe his confidence level isn't as high as it once was. So you learn from a quarterback guru like a John Gruden who can actually get you prepared mentally as well as physically. So if you don't happen to play for the Raiders or you're on clipboard duty the rest of the season, if we decide to have a season, you will be able for your next stop be more prepared and better equipped to be at the quarterback position. But I think it also pushes Derek Carr to a degree to say, hey, man, you got somebody breathing down your neck finally that's really competitive. Um, so I think if you're the Raiders, you continue to build up the O line so that Derek Carr can get the ball off, whether it's Josh Jacobs or whether you're dumping it out to your wide receivers. I think also, too, you do have to build up your defense. I think they did a magnificent job getting Corey Littleton. I think Corey Littleton is going to prove dividends
Yeah.
this coming season for the Raiders, especially what he's done with the Rams previously and how much impactful he was with the Rams. Didn't necessarily not always have the biggest name, but he did have a lot of impact on the field. And sometimes you can't just always go by the numbers. You have to go by the impact and energy he provides on the field. And if you talk to anybody in the locker room, he was a great locker room leader. And I think he's going to be an exceptional locker room leader on the defensive side of the ball for the Las Vegas Raiders. So I agree with you. I
Well,
think
that you, if anybody would know anything about what Corey Littleton brings, it would be you, since you covered the Rams numerous times last year, along with the Chargers. And I'll say this: I do agree with the pushing of Carr, but I don't think it's going to be a 1-year deal. I think I think best case scenario, Mariota's there 2 years. He learns the system, and when or if Carr falter, will be next in line if the young quarterback early, with the pick this year or even next year. And I say next year because you never know what could happen. If Carr flops this year, they go with Mariota, he doesn't do well. Then they're going to be in the hunt for another quarterback next year. If it is tank for Trevor Lawrence or flop for Justin Fields or whatever quarterback you want to put in there that could jump up boards and all of a sudden those guys could be drafted. I tend to think though Carr is in a position now where Carr actually is going to be successful because year 3, if you get him, let's say a Jerry Jeudy or a CeeDee Lamb, and with one of your 2 first-round picks, or a Justin Jefferson if you're picking at 19, or a Denzel Mims, I'll throw another name out there. Those guys are impactful guys that I think Carr could really use for that offense. But I think the bigger picture is, and I'll say this: Mike Mayock doesn't do a good job of playing poker. If you go
he's horrible. He's
back and look at what he well, yeah, I mean, but if you go back and look at what he did
when it comes
last
to
year,
poker.
right? Well, if you go back and look at what he did last year, he basically said throughout different interviews that he wasn't going to take a quarterback, that he was happy with Derek Carr, that Carr wasn't the problem. And then you go this year, he says, yeah, we're going to look at all avenues, but Derek, you look at our defense sucked last year, and we don't have a playmaking wide receiver, which we need to make the offense go. And he said it at the combine. He said it in interviews. So he's basically telling everybody, look, we're going to get an experienced backup like Mariota to come in, push Carr, and give Gruden. He's not Peterman, him being Mariota. He's not Deshaun Kaiser. He's not the neck Mike Lennon. You know what I'm saying? He is literally a guy that Mike Mayock thought was the best quarterback in the draft when he came out 5 years ago. Is a guy that John Gruden feels comfortable with running the offense, being a guy that's a little more athletic, that probably needs some he does need some refining and some continuity. And he's a guy I think Gruden can feel comfortable with going with should something happen to Derek Carr. And I think that's he's the insurance policy. Does this mean they're going to draft the quarterback in the first round? No, I don't think so. I think there's too many glaring needs on the offensive side of the ball at receiver and on the defensive side of the ball. But in the third round, or even maybe trading back to add something, now you could have something. Now you could have a Jalen Hurts be that guy where he sits for a couple years, learns the offense, and then all of a sudden he's the heir apparent. Mariota was just a placeholder.
Well, I think, excuse me, I think too, you got to look at it this way. That means people have got to stop saying that they're all in on Derek Carr, because you can't be all in on Derek Carr and you sign a guy like Mariota for 2 years. Either you have some reservations about Derek Carr, which is perfectly fine. We all have reservations about certain quarterbacks. I don't care from the greats down to the mediocre. There's always going to be some type of reservation. I mean, this is the National Football League. Anything can happen, as you alluded to earlier. So what I'm saying is, the reason why I say 1 year is because if Carr does have a great year, like you're saying, and like I think he would have if they surround him with the proper weaponry to be successful, then I think that it's no point of Mariota being there, especially if you draft a Jalen Hurts who can sit up under there, because guess what Jalen's going to do? Jalen's going to take that spot. And eventually, yes, he's going to take Derek Carr's spot, because John Gruden is licking his chops at getting a kid like Jalen Hurts who can sit for a minute, loves his work ethic. I mean, Jalen Hurts probably has one of the best work ethics out of all the quarterbacks that we've seen. And that's no disrespect to any of the quarterbacks that we've talked about, the Tuas and the Justin Herberts and guys like that. But this guy has a unique work ethic that hasn't been seen in a long time from a young kid. And if Gruden can get his hands on him, maybe we even trade to move up into the second round to try to get him. It feels like, hey, this kid's about to go off the board. We need to try to draft up and get him so we can hold him into the fold and kind of usher us into a brand new city. Because think about this. This will be the first actual pick of a quarterback that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to get. So this is a guy that you can build with. This is a guy that's been drafted. He has been nowhere else but the University of Oklahoma outside of Alabama. So this is a guy that people can connect to as well in a couple of years. Say, hey, man, this is homegrown talent, quote unquote, because we drafted him here specifically. So I don't think if they happen to get a guy like Jalen Hurts, that's what I'm saying. Marcus Mariota is a year and done. Like, see you when I see you. It's been nice knowing you.
I think he's going to have a little more time than that. And let's give some notice to people jumping in right now.
That's what that is. You like Mariota, don't you?
No, actually, no. Now, okay, so I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Nice laughing. I'm gonna tell you, Nick, you've known me since my days on the drive on the Beast 980 with George and Brett, and George was a huge Mariota guy. I debated him. I'm like, look, he's okay. He's all right, but he's not real. Like, that was kind of like my saying to it. And of course, we would piss George off because George played at Oregon. He's a Doug Homer. Mariota's his guy. And for me, it just was one of those things where I think he's one of those guys, a lot like Derek Carr, right, in his career. And there's nothing wrong with this. He's a guy that needs guys around him to make him better. He doesn't necessarily make everybody else around him better. You know what I'm saying? He's not what Tom Brady was in his prime. He's not what Aaron Rodgers was in his prime. He's not what Brett Favre was in his prime. He's not one of those guys. He needs playmakers around him. Rich Gannon, I'll take it to the Raiders side of things.
Whoa.
That's what Rich Gannon was when he was a Raider.
Oh man,
you know, he had the running backs. He had Napoleon Kaufman. He had Zach Crockett, he had Rice, he had Brown, he had Porter, he had weapons around him. You put him on those Kansas City teams or those Minnesota teams, Rich Gannon wasn't that guy. So there's nothing wrong with being a quote unquote system quarterback or being a guy that needs guys around him. What he is a quarterback that can distribute the ball with timing, and at the end of the day, allow those guys to make plays and make him a lot of money.
But here's the thing I have with Mariota. The thing about Mariota, his style of play, I was really unsure about how he's going to fit into the Raiders system, because with Derek Carr there, right? Derek Carr is more targeted to be on the money. Mariota has issues with finding his targets and landing his balls, especially when it comes to 50-50 balls, right? Because when you're on third down situations, if you're in second and long, he's gonna air it out, but a lot of times he'll either throw it out of bounds, he'll overthrow the receiver, right? So guess what? Now you move third down. If you got a third and long situation, which we've seen it in Tennessee, you can't complete it, right? So my thing is, maybe with Mariota, and I'm not drinking no Kool-Aid, unlike some people on this program, but anyway. I'm not sold on Mariota passing.
This ain't Kool-Aid, homie.
Well, you better put that. I told you about pouring that cognac in there. Don't do it.
Hey, I'm gonna say there's no yak in here either.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. But no, I'm saying, so this is my thing, right? Like when I look at, and I like Judy as a receiver, man. I'm sold on the kid. I like him. I watched some film on him. I like the way he can actually elevate Carr in the game plan. Because he can learn the playbook very quickly. He knows what he needs to do. He knows where he needs to be. And a lot of times he can be someplace before it's time to kind of anticipate where the ball is going to go, especially on certain plays. So that's why I like that. I like that move a lot better for Carr, because it takes some pressure off of Carr to have a guy out there that knows what the hell he's doing on a consistent basis. Key word, consistency.
Absolutely. Knight, jump in. What do you think about the whole Derek Carr debate? I know I've heard you talk about it and see what Nick has to say when it comes to your opinion about
it. So I've been saying this now, man. I've had some time to chew this all up. The free agency's kicked off. I've been saying that Mayock and Gruden have really been methodical about how they went about free agency. If you look at the serious needs this team had, whether it was linebacker, cornerback, defensive end, defensive tackle, even a wide receiver with the pickup of Nelson Aguilar. Now we don't have to get into that right away, but even Marcus Mariota, 2 years, nothing really big there. He is a gap filler at this point at best, right? He is there. He is that emergency outlet if Carr either does not perform, which we all know that Carr's going to perform. I mean, he did not play bad last year whatsoever. Give him a real good defense, which I think they're building, Carr's going to explode. But in the case that either he gets hurt or they don't like his play, Mariota's there. I still says this smells like a rookie quarterback coming in here, but they also brought Mariota in so they're not pressured to go out and force themselves to get a Jalen Hurst. If Jalen falls to them, they're going to make the move. If not, again, the Raiders are spending 2 first-round picks off spending 3 first-round picks a year before. That sets them up next year to sell the house to go up and get the guy that they need or maybe want. So this team is set up for the future. They're building it. They're building it right. They're going to let things play out. They're not forcing anything. They're giving people opportunity and bringing in competition to raise the level of play.
No, you know
Well,
what? And
well,
I don't disagree with that. I think I think I like the way that they're going about it. Were there money making moves that they made with guys like Nelson Aguilar and people like that? No, but they can fit in the system that John Gruden can put together. Like I said, I'm more impressed on the defensive side of the ball what they've done more so than the offensive side of the ball.
I like what they've done defensively as well. Let's give some love to some people that's jumping in. Sean Rolling Dubs, my boy Vinny, Little Chorizo. What's going on, brother? Anthony King, Miguel Ruiz. Who else we got? Chris jumping in. Chris is like, man, Chris is on point with his stuff. You're gonna like some of the stuff that he says. Ant King, Real Raider type. Everybody jumping in here in Sports Guy. Sports Guy 06. They brought up the fact that one of my good friends, I know I've had him on my shows and we interact a lot. Ben Albright, he does sports talk out in Denver. Ben is one of the insiders, and actually, major networks are going after him, but he elected to stay home in Denver to do radio out there. Ben seems to think that the Raiders are going to draft the quarterback much earlier than what people anticipate. And that would probably lead to think at 12. I'm going to call him and talk to him about this before, but Ben is right a lot, especially when it comes to free agency. And when it gets close to the draft, Ben is, I think you follow him, right, Nick?
Yeah, Ben is solid, man. I pay attention.
Yeah, so I don't think that. Look, I'm not saying that the Raiders are not going to draft this definitive. They're not taking a quarterback.
Right.
If they like a guy, let's say a Justin Herbert they're at 12, or Jordan Love, who both could be, but both could be gone as well. Let's be real. You're gonna have Burrow go 1, Tua go in the top 5, and then from there, you have some teams that are gonna want a quarterback, and they're gonna move up. And with the offensive line the way it is in this draft, you could conceivably have 7 picks, the 7 of the top 11 picks be quarterbacks and offensive linemen, and then you'll have Chase Daniels and Isaiah Simmons, which that leaves you 9. That's 9 picks right there, which there's 3 guys now. Who's going to fall in? What about teams that are in need of quarterbacks? Would a New England try to trade up, or would the Saints or one of those types of teams that are going to need a quarterback of the future move up and try to get ahead of the Raiders, or hell, even the 49ers?
I don't think the Patriots would trade up. I think I think their sights would be best set on trying to get Trevor Lawrence. But I do think that there are other teams that may try to trade up to try to leapfrog the Raiders. So that's something you definitely have to keep an eye on. I don't think Ben is incorrect in that. I think Ben is on point as far as the thinking. Don't totally obliterate the thinking of them trying to get a quarterback in the first round if they have the opportunity to. But I think also too, this is a really loaded running back and wide receiver deep draft. This is more offensive heavy draft than we've seen in the past couple of years. So when you look at what the opportunities that the Raiders do have with 2 first rounders, and they have the opportunity to move up because they can use those 2 first rounders and say, hey, we'll give you these 2 plus maybe something else. to move up into the top 10, that's also a possibility as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that the Raiders have. I mean, the Raiders it's better to have more choices than to have none, right? So if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you're definitely in a good position, regardless, even if you're sitting at 12 right now, because you could always flip those picks. And we've seen that happen time and time. Even on draft day, we've seen picks get flipped within the 5-minute time frame that they get. So I think when you're the Raiders, you got to look out to the AFC West division. I think there's a lot of moving and shaking going on in the AFC West division. So I think you have to keep an eye out on what's going on in your division, as well as what's going on in the rest of the AFC.
We want to hear what you guys have to say regarding the Raiders and their quarterback situation. Give us a call, 253-993-3651, 253-993-3651. Join the Silver and Black Hole podcast and let us know what you think. I feel like this with the rest of free agency, and I'm going to round it out. Kowalski, Mariota, Littleton, Malik Collins, 1 year, $6 million, 5 3/4 million guaranteed. Jason Witten, 1 year, 4 point guaranteed. Jeff Heath, 2 years, $8 million, only 2.85 million guaranteed. Carl, 3 years, $25 million, 17 million guaranteed. But then you get to the next group. Eli Apple, 1 year, $6 million, fully guaranteed. And Nelson Aguilar, Nick, we've known Nelly since he was at SC. 1 year, $1.47 million, 887,000 guaranteed. To me, what that tells me is, one, Eli Apple is going to be a starter, whether we like it or not. If you're a Raider fan, Eli Apple is going to start on one side. Yeah, exactly. You're giving him $6 million. You're going to have to start him. You could draft Bolton at 19. If Okuda drops to 12, let's say, and you drop Okuda at 12, you're probably still going to start the guy you're paying $6 million guaranteed to, because you don't want to eat that money. That's the economics, at least early on. That's the economics of professional sports. But the Nelson Aguilar signing is intriguing to me, because the year before this past season, Nelly had a hell of a year. He had a really good bounce back year. He caught most everything thrown his way. Yeah. He did have a problem with the drops, but he's a guy that the ball gets in his hands. He's explosive. And I think a guy like a Zay Jones, or that you like, I keep forgetting his name. What's the guy you like, the receiver?
Rico Gafford.
Yeah, I think Gafford is a guy that their jobs are on the line, because I think Nelly can take one of their jobs, especially if they draft a receiver or two in this draft.
Here's my problem with the Raiders. All right. Two things. Number one, you get old man Jason Witten, who does a 40 from 0 to 6 months, has no business playing any kind of football, needs to sit his old ass in the booth or on a lawnmower tractor, cutting lawns at his house. Okay? That was a waste of money. I promise you, it's going to be a waste of money. They could have split that money up and given it to both of us, Joe, and we would have done a lot better. Number two,
I would have taken it.
Number two, Eli Apple, as you eloquently put it and very nicely put it, because I wouldn't have been that nice, and I'm not going to be that nice. Number one, Eli Apple was not worth $6 million with $6 million in his pocket. Number two, Eli Apple is a dude that you can't rely on consistently. And is his mama a part of the deal? Because Lord knows he can't go nowhere without his mama. So is he going to be a big?
We brought that up last week.
Cookies and Kool-Aid.
Look it. Well, here's the thing with Witten. Here's why. Here's why I like Witten. I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, brother.
Because no. Listen, hear me out now. Foster Moreau is probably going to start the year on the PUP list. Okay, coming off the injury, he's not going to be ready to go. So you figure, presuming the season starts on time, what's that, 6 weeks? So they got about 8 weeks of whether or not, and you don't even have to rush Foster Moreau back. Okay. And then he's a Carrier. Carrier's the next tight end. Let's say they draft a Thaddeus Moss in the 4th or the 5th round. Now you have I'm just hear me out. Now you have a group of Waller, Thaddeus Moss, Witten, because they like running 2 tight end sets. Witten can still block at a very good level. And in the red zone and to get critical first downs, it gives you another option besides Hunter Renfrow. And Waller in the red zone, but besides Renfrow on 3rd downs, it gives you a guy that can get to the stick. He brings a certain type of leadership that maybe they've been missing. If you look at everybody they brought in as far as key free agent acquisitions, they're guys that are leaders. They're guys that they're changing the culture from what it once was to what they want it to be, and it's what Gruden and Mayock want it to be. And maybe Witten personifies that. Who knows?
Witten couldn't block a damn sandcastle. Number 2, if you wanted him to be a leader, then you should have signed him up as a coach, not waste money on the field. This was a waste of money. I'm tending to think the Las Vegas Raiders were bored. They said, you know what? We got some more money to spend. You know, you got too much money in your pocket and you're bored. You got nothing else better. Do you start doing dumb stuff? You start buying things that you really don't want to buy.
That ain't me. And I live in Vegas, and that ain't me.
No, knock it off. I've hung out with you. Knock it off. I'm not gonna go any further, but I hung out with you. I know how you move. Anyway, but that's what I think. I think the Raiders were bored. Listen, I'm not saying Jason Witten doesn't have it upstairs, right? As far as the position, knowing where guys should be, knowing how to, block, knowing when to, go out on different sets. I'm not saying anything against his intellect as far as his football intellect. I'm talking about physicality. And that old rascal is damn near Methuselah.
He called him old rascal.
Methuselah,
he just called him
all this money. For what? For him to play in what? 1 game?
He'll play in 8 games. He'll play in 8 games, and he averaged 8
games on Madden.
8 with his walker. Life. With his walker and his band-aids and his bandages, he still got 8.4 yards a catch last year. That's all they're asking from him. They're not asking him to be Waller. They're not asking him to be the Witten of old. They're just asking him.
It's a waste of money. They don't really need him. If you're gonna put him in as a coach, that's fine. Make him as maybe as a tight ends coach or what have you. That's fine. I'm on board with that. But are you gonna put him out there physically? Are you kidding me?
Hey, I don't mind it. Hey,
I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. Knock it off.
Hey, look. Hey, real talk. My guy Gus from LA here. Gus works with on Spectrum Sports, right? He works for the Lakers on their network. And Gus was in Manhattan Beats with Mike Bresnahan with Brez, right? Mm-hmm. And they're at a bar. And I still got the video on my phone that Brez sent through Gus's phone to me, talking about come down and have some whiskey. So next time I'm in LA, I got to go down and see Brez and everybody.
Maybe you can take old man Witten with you. He like old man.
He's like old man Witten.
I'll make sure he buys. Also, your buddy Nick Jose Volante from Vegas. Jose's in here too. So Jose, this is great. So I'm gonna tell you this. I like the Witten signing because of the intangible side of things. I'm a big guy like for Nick, and you've known me a long time, and you know my history. I'm a big guy, locker room, clubhouse guy. I'm a big believer in locker room and clubhouse guys. There's a certain type of gravitas that comes with it. There is a certain type of, there's certain guys that get paid that make their money doing other things that make their teammates around them better. You have to have those types of guys, especially with young teams in a locker room, to show them the way. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of dudes running around, especially in our town, doing, and that's not what you want. So I think what this is, it's almost not. I don't want to say it's a babysitter because that's not what it is. But it's, look here. Let me show you how we do it. Now, the only thing I would say about that when it comes to Witten is there's no ring. So not too many guys in that locker room can say this is how you win a ring. That would be the only downfall. But as far as acting like a professional on and off the field,
I've only won 1 playoff game, so I can tell you how that 1 playoff win felt.
Would you call Jason
No.
Witten a Hall of Fame tight end?
No.
Yes.
Wow, there's another argument
Not
right there.
first
I'd
ballot.
started another fight.
Not first,
But
no, not a first. No,
not
he
maybe
didn't
not a
say
first.
first ballot. If he
second
said
ballot.
first ballot, I'd say no, hell no. But you talking
Not
about
first or
you know,
second ballot.
look it. Okay, let me make this clear.
Maybe third.
I'm of the belief that Sterling Sharp needs to be in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
And it is a travesty that he's not. And guys like Terrell Davis is when they've had shorter careers, or this is shorter careers. And he may have ran for 2 G's, but Sterling Sharp was putting up numbers that were ungodly against real defenses and being the only person on offense that they had to throw the ball to, or only real weapon. Okay, so for me, that speaks volumes. But in talking with Mr. McClain down in Houston, when me and Q had him on, and we were talking about it, it literally was, he said that he just doesn't have enough longevity. With Witten, he has longevity, and the numbers are going to be there, and that alone is going to get him in the Hall of Fame, but it's not going to be the first ballot.
And also maybe he has the connection.
Culture, work ethic,
Jera?
And making plays.
You talking about Jera?
Yeah, he has a connection. That's all I'm saying.
He got the connection, you know.
Connection.
That doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt either. But I like what the Raiders are doing. I'm curious because the Raiders are going to have to really make some moves, as I said earlier, about the AFC West, because the AFC West has been juggling, man, like a circus clown. I mean, you've got a lot of players moving and shaking. And we saw the departure of Melvin Gordon go from the Los Angeles Chargers over to the Denver Broncos. So now the Denver Broncos have a 1-2 combo from the running game perspective, because you have Phillip Lindsay, who's a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. You also have Melvin Gordon, who in the red zone can really do some serious damage when it comes to the offense in Denver. So now with an elusive running back like Phillip Lindsay, and now you have Melvin Gordon, who's like a power back, who needs to be, to me, a little bit more patient when it comes to opening the holes and finding the holes. And I think that's going to give him his career some more longevity, because he doesn't have to hit the holes as hard, because he's a little bit more patient. And I think that's going to prove some dividends in Denver on the offensive side. So I think if you're a Raider defense, you got to prepare for that type of combo when you're facing the Denver Broncos twice a season. Then when you look at the Los Angeles Chargers, they do have one running back right now. They're probably going to draft another running back, because Austin Eckler is simply not a number one guy. He's an excellent number two guy. He's so elusive. He's definitely dynamic, where he can catch the ball out the backfield. He can do some blocking for you. He can definitely throw you off the trail a bit and kind of confuse some defenses when it comes to that interior. But the Chargers are going to have to draft another running back. And then we have to see what their quarterback situation is going to end up being. Will Cam Newton be their quarterback, their starting quarterback, coming in the 2020 season? It looks to be that way in a sense, because you get the sense that the way that they've shifted, completely got rid of that Phillip Rivers style of offense, and how Anthony Lynn has transformed that offense into something where it could be more suitable for a guy like Cam Newton, and maybe a future pick like a Tua Tagovailoa, or maybe even a Justin Herbert. You can see the difference in how they're building that offensive line, how they're building their wide receiver core, and even the tight end spread opposite Hunter Henry. So if you're the Los Angeles Chargers and you're going up against the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, if you're the Raiders, you got to prepare for that type of defense, because listen, the Chargers defense is going to be dynamic. I mean, you got Derwin James that's healthy, who can get you inside and out. We're still waiting to see what Nasir Adderley is going to be on the opposite side. But then you got that interior with Denzel Perriman. You still have the bookends and Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram. They're going to continue to add, even though they lost a key piece to me in Adrian Phillips, who went to New England at the safety spot. So that's going to be interesting to see. But when you come with and then you also have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the Super Bowl champions with Patrick Mahomes and company. So if you're the Raiders, you got, like I said earlier, you really have to plan for not only just the AFC, but just in your division. How you're going to be able to get wins in your division based upon the opponents that you're going to have to face.
Right. Well, let's talk more about the AFC. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We want to get your phone calls, hear from you guys. We know the chat's blowing up. We want to hear from you. Fire them away. The number to call, 253-993-3651, 253-993-3651. We're going to talk AFC West, take your calls, and more Raider talk right here on the Silver and Black Hole podcast powered by SB Nation, also heard on Franchise Sports Media and Nightfall Media.
Las Vegas. Al's Garage is the perfect location for watching your favorite sporting event, including our UNLV Rebels, Las Vegas Golden Knights, and the brand new Las Vegas Raiders. But you can find your favorite game on most of the time, along with everything you need to make your experience watching it perfect, including awesome service, food, and the best drinks in town.
What? We just become best friends? Yup.
Al's non-smoking, family-friendly environment is the perfect place for the entire family to enjoy a night out with great food and watching the best games. Al's is your place for large parties, fantasy drafts, work gatherings, or just meeting for the big game. For gaming customers, Al's offers a great voucher program, so make sure to inquire with the staff when you're there. Al's Garage is located at 11760 West Charleston in Summerlin. Tell them the franchise sent you. John Cutter is a neighborhood drinking and dining establishment that tends to parched throats and empty bellies for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night noshing. The laid-back atmosphere and awesome food is perfect for getting away from the hustle and bustle of the strip. The menu is short and sweet and does the trick anytime, day or night. The steaks are 100% Angus beef and the fish is flown in fresh. No freezers here, so you can be sure that the meal is made from the freshest ingredients available. From steaks to seafood to sandwiches, wings, and salads, you'll have no quarrel with the food. Trust me. And stick around, because the later it gets, the more the place percolates. John Cutter's is located at 11770 West Charleston Boulevard in Summerlin. Tell them the franchise sent you.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black Hole podcast powered by SB Nation. I'm Joe Arrigo, Nick Hamilton, my co-host, and my man running the board, holding it down, Knight. We're right here doing it. Just giving you all your Raider talk, giving you everything you need. You want to fire away with some comments, go ahead and hit us. We're on Periscope, we're on YouTube, obviously on the website that you're listening to. And we're also taking your calls. We're live, 253-993-3651, 253-993-3651. If you have an opinion and want to fire it off to us about Derek Carr and what he is or isn't for the Raiders, hit us up. If you want to talk to us about what the Raiders need to do with their draft pick or ask our opinion about it, hit us up. If you want to talk about the free agency, let us know what you think. But before we went to break, Nick was breaking down the AFC West, and he did it quite eloquently, sir. I want to thank you for that. And what I'm gonna touch on is AFC West related, but it's not necessarily in the realm of football. Before we jump back into AFC West, earlier this evening, and as we're recording this on Tuesday evening, Clippers owner Steve Ballmer, he used to kind of cut my checks when I was with the Beast 980. Steve, along with his business partners, vice president of the Clippers, went out and bought the fabulous Forum, the Great Western Forum, for $400 million cash. What do we say, Nick?
Straight cash, homie.
There you go. and Nick and I think this is important because we were talking about it prior to the show when we were talking to each other over the phone. Because for me and Nick, I mean, growing up in Southern California, and we know a lot of Raider Nation is Laker fans. If you can't beat them, join them. And people seem to think that like Ballmer and Wong met with Dolan and his cronies and like had like 12 or 13 briefcases full of money, and they said, here you go, here's straight cash, don't give us the deed. And that's not how it works. I'll let Nick get into that one a little bit.
Believe that.
but it's big because they're gonna, I believe, in the next 5 years tear it down and build the Clippers arena there and headquarters. I know they say they want to keep it a concert venue or whatnot. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's going to be right next. It's going to be right next to Sophie, and Nick, that's your neck of the woods. So, like, what do you know about that, and how will it affect anything going on with the Chargers and Rams new stadium?
Nothing at all. I mean, the Bomber's going to build his 18,000 plus seat arena, which is south of SoFi Stadium. The Forum happens to be north of SoFi Stadium, directly across the street. But Bomber's going to build his south of SoFi Stadium, which is located on Century Boulevard, which is the main thoroughway between the airport and the stadium entertainment complex. He's also going to build a practice facility along with office space, so he no longer has to pay what's the racist
Sterling,
Donald Sterling rent money for the current practice facility that he has right now. But the other thing is too, this was more of an investment. If you can't beat them, buy them. That's the message I got today. And don't think that a certain neighbor wasn't on board with making sure that Bomber got the Forum. I'll just leave it at that.
Mr. Kroenke?
I mean, you can figure it out. I ain't got to say nothing. You can figure it out.
I wonder how happy Mayor Butts is right now.
Well, Mayor Butts MSG has been a thorn in Mayor Butts' side for a long time.
Right. That's why I said that.
And so when you have listen, James Dolan and MSG made more than their money back in what they've invested into the Forum. When they got the Forum initially, they invested about $110 million into it to renovate it, bring it up to code, make it a true concert venue, which is the number 3 concert venue, I believe, and entertainment venue in the country. It beat out Staples Center. So they have more concerts and entertainment venues there than any other. Like I said, the number 3 major hub for concert and entertainment venues in the country, which is the Forum. So you multiply that times what they've invested, they pretty much got their money worth. If anything, Steve Ballmer got a steal at $400 million, because it could have easily been $750 million if you had the right people in place, probably, especially if this thing would have dragged on even longer. It could have been up in excess of that. But Steve Ballmer, being the brilliant genius that he is, went ahead, took care of business, made sure he had his cards on deck. While James Dolan is playing checkers, he was playing chess. And so now Steve Ballmer can yell checkmate. And I know there are a lot of fans that are mad because they're scared that he may tear the Forum down. And if he does, okay, big deal. This is about business. What people don't understand about corporate business and big business is the fact that big business is about developing and selling. Because if I could sell it, why would I not sell it? Now, if I can hold on to it for a while and then make some money and then sell it maybe 2 years down the road, then sure. If I can't, I mean, think about this. Ballmer's not going to buy anything he can't flip. No successful billionaire, and the man's worth $60 billion, by the way. He didn't get that way by being a damn fool.
He dances like one. No, but I will say this before we get.
I dance like a damn fool too. If I had $60 billion, I'd be on a 1 and 3 like a mug.
I will say this before we get back into the AFC West. Getting to know Mr. Ballmer a little bit and doing the show outside Staples Center for the playoffs when I was doing pregame and on the Beast afternoon drive. It was really cool seeing him walking in with his jeans and his t-shirt, and he walks right across from where ESPN Studios is, where they have the covered parking lot right across. He just mobs in like, well, whatever. You say, "What's up, Steve?" He turns on, "Hey, what's going on?" Walks right in, walks right by you. He was really cool, but it was his first year owning the team as well. So I don't know if he's changed since then, but Fire Bro, like you have a lot of good comments, man. You say shout out Byron and shout out Raider John. So, call in, you know what I'm saying? Like call in and I know, like Miguel Ruiz. Miguel, where you at, bro? You know what I'm saying? Hit us up. You always got good conversation. Gus, you got conversation. Hit me up, bro. 253-993-3651. 253-993-3651. Nick, when you brought up the Chiefs, I'll say this. I think their window is going to close a lot more rapidly than what people tend to think, because they're going to have to pay Mahomes, they're going to have to pay Kelsey, they're going to have to pay Tyrann Mathieu, they're going to have to pay Chris Jones, they're going to have to start paying the piper for these guys, and they're not going to take no Rudy Poo contracts. They're going to want to be chipped down. They're going to want the bag. I tend to think Andy Reid's going to bounce before then. And I think the Chiefs are going to be kind of, maybe I won't say put in cap hell, but they're going to be forced to make some very tough decisions when it comes to their future. So their window is probably another year or two, if that.
Well, I mean, that's still 2 years. Yeah, let's take the worst case scenario. Let's say that it is 2 years. They're going to be in cap hell, much like we see the Los Angeles Rams being in cap hell and them cutting guys left and right. Um, and with the Kansas City Chiefs, that's why they knew that their window is immediate and not in the distant future. And that's why they had to go out and do what they needed to do. Now, Pat Mahomes decides to do a Tom Brady move and say, okay, I'm not going to take the 200 and some odd $1 million. I'm going to take less than that to spread it around to get me some more talent because I'm about championships. Then, yeah, Kansas City has a long shelf life because with less money, obviously he can do more things. You can fill more voids. You can build up that defense, and you can make sure that you have adequate weapons that Pat Mahomes can throw to and find, where you can still utilize his athleticism and his elusiveness when it comes to being on the field. So, yeah, Pat Mahomes, it's all up to Pat Mahomes. This rests on Pat Mahomes. If Pat Mahomes takes the Tom Brady move and says, okay, you know what, I need to do this and do that, and I'll take less money, then yes, the AFC West is going to be in trouble for a good while. But if he takes the whole $205 or $225 million deal that he's expected to get, then yeah, you're right. He does have about a year or two window before it all comes crashing down because guess what? Other teams are going to have significant amounts of money. They're going to be able to maneuver their draft picks, and they're going to be able to get better, i.e. the Los Angeles Chargers, the Las Vegas Raiders. And those are two teams that you have to kind of keep a watchful eye over because in the long scheme of things, they're going to get better if they continue to have good leadership in front of them. And so
Right.
if you're the Kansas,
I get that, but I just think that at this point, you also got to pay Tyreek Hill, and he's going to want the bag. Knight, we got someone on the phone lines.
Yeah, we got a caller.
First.
Yeah, let's go to the phone lines.
All right, let's take a call.
Welcome to the Silver and Black Hole Podcast. Who's this?
This is Miguel Ruiz from the chat, Joe. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Miguel. What's up? What's going on with you, Miggy?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm just listening to the show, and after free agency and defensive moves was pretty good, and I heard you guys were talking about just acquiring Mariota. And my question for you guys is, since he's got incentives that are part of his deal, do you think he's got a shot to come in and play sometime this season?
I do if Carr's hurt or if he shits the bed. Let's be real about it. At the end of the day, right. if he's playing like trash, Gruden wants to win. There's no honeymoon period in Las Vegas right now. It's going to put pressure on him to play well, and Gruden's going to want him to play well. So if he shits the bed, then 100% you're going to look at a situation where if Mariota's up to speed on the offense and can digest it all and move the team along when he gets an opportunity, I do think Gruden would pull the trigger. But he being Carr has to be able to go out there and perform. What do you think, Nick?
No, first of all, it's a good question, Miguel. I think too. Here's the thing I think people don't think about as well. If Derek Carr does not perform up to snuff and Mariota comes in, if Mariota doesn't perform up to par, then what happens then? Like they're going to be in serious peril. And so it almost is imperative that Derek Carr stays not only healthy but stays in rhythm where he's going to perform at a high level. Because if let's say there may be some discrepancy, there may be some transition periods where Mariota's not up to speed with the offense. He's not maybe catching as fast as Gruden wants him to catch up with it. That's going to be a problem. So you got to make sure that Derek Carr is up to par, but you also got to make sure that Marcus Mariota understands the playbook and then also understands Gruden and his way of coaching. Because that's another issue that I feel like some players have is that they don't understand Gruden's style of coaching. And if you don't have thick skin or you're not tough enough mentally to deal with it, you're not going to last.
And what I'll say on that real quick too is when you look at the way that our country is too, like it's playing a big part in what's happening right now. We don't know when OTAs are going to happen. We don't know when mini camps are going to happen. And if we get lucky enough to even have a preseason heading into September, and God willing, we get our football in September, right? Mariota's already going to be behind. Mariota's going to be behind at this point, right? Like, so he ain't even going to be ready. He's not going to have any chemistry. So this team is Derek Carr's right now, hands down. So Derek Carr has this last opportunity, I will say, to go out there and prove himself in this John Gruden offense. So, but again, having a guy like Mariota, an experienced guy, he could be ready early as maybe week 6. I would say week 8. But I think by then we'll know where Derek Carr stands in this offense.
Here's the thing, Miguel. Here's something that I brought up on Twitter today when I was in a discussion with somebody about it. The reason why Mariota makes sense is because he's a veteran, and veterans typically pick up the playbook a little bit quicker than rookies. But Derek Carr, and I have this debate with TQ, and he's kind of convinced me over the last probably 6 months. There's not another quarterback that can come in right now and do a better job than Derek Carr in the sense this is year 3 in an offense where other guys are year 1, and a rookie has to get the NFL game speed down as well as the NFL playbook. On top of that, you also have to deal with the fact that the defense has been so bad for so long with the rate, and really, how many of those games have the defense really blown, really blown overall? How many of those games, then when it came down to it, did the defense put themselves in a position to where they literally shit the bed and cost the offense a game? If you look at the game where the final game in Oakland, where Carr slid and picked up the first down, and then they stopped the clock inexplicably, the defense couldn't get a stop. And how many of those games actually happened, and how many that actually falls on Carr versus how many fall on the defense? So if you really want to win, defense wins championships, bottom line. So you got to get guys around him. And I think, do you want to be in a situation where, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you want to be in a situation where you have say what?
I was gonna say no, I was just gonna say to add to that, I think that stretch of games where we were just getting blown out, you couldn't really put those on Carr either, even though the whole team really didn't look good. But for him, it didn't do him any favors either.
It didn't. And even with that, if you give him weapons year 3 in an offense that he knows front, back, side to side now, he should be a better quarterback than what he's performed at in a lot of ways in people's eyes. So in that regard, I don't want to be left. If I'm a Raider fan, I don't want to be left with a guy that's never seen the NFL feel before, doesn't know what the game speed is like, barely knows the playbook. I don't want him out there taking snaps, and then he ends up like David Carr, where he's cell shocked, he's gun shy. Let's call it like it is. All right, this is real talk.
Hey, man, that dude, David Carr, David Carr so shook. He had a car backfire. That dude dropped to the ground.
Yeah, car backfire.
But see, no rookie's gonna come in and do what Carr does. Like, I'm sorry, like, it's just not gonna happen. So it is what it is. Chris Bros put the call-in number because we got Funky R8 wanting to call in because I think he's a guy that wants Carr gone because he said Derek is David in the chats. 253-993-3651. Say what?
Hateration and holleration all in the dancery.
Yep. There it is. Hey, Miguel, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate it, bro.
Hey, thanks, Miguel, man. Raider Nation for life, brother.
Right.
Thanks, Miguel. Appreciate you, man.
You got it. Just win, baby.
Just win, baby.
Muted.
Okay, there we go. So
Unmuted.
I don't know, man. Say what?
No, we're good.
Okay. So I'm gonna say I'm not a Carr apologist by any means. Okay. I want to see the Raiders successful, and I want to see him do it a specific way, in a certain way. But I'm gonna call a spade a spade. If he's messing up and he's playing like trash, I'm gonna say he's playing like trash. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's the end all to be all that quarterback for the Raiders. But at the same time, I'm not gonna throw all the blame on him because at the end of the day, Nick, you and I've talked about this, and I said this to Unite and everybody else. I know we probably got someone calling in right now.
No, you're
but
good.
I want to get this thought out. If I would have told Raider Nation before the season began last year that they're going to be going into the final week, the very last game of the season, with a chance to go to the playoffs, to play for a wild card spot, not telling them what the record is, not telling them that they started off hot and got cold as the season went on, or vice versa. Every Raider fan would have took that. Every Raider fan would have took that. You couldn't tell me different. It doesn't. They over exceeded the expectations. So let's be real about that. Like, they damn near were a playoff team last year. Carr had what Mayock called a career year, but yet he's the one taking the bullets for everybody. Like, I don't understand that. For me, I don't understand that. You got to be careful what you wish for.
Keep in mind too, and this, and I said this when the Tom Brady rumor crap started circling around. There's so much more than understanding the offense of John Gruden, and then there's the verbiage, and then there's lining up and it's not just John Gruden, this every offensive coordinator around the league, right? There's a difference between knowing the offense, knowing the verbiage, and lining up that particular coach's offense versus specific defenses he has you look for which way the plays and audibles line up. That's why I said from the beginning, love Derek Carr or hate Derek Carr, the first year in Las Vegas, he gives you the best chance to have a productive offense. And especially now that they're actually investing some money in the defense, that gives the Las Vegas Raiders, year one anyway, the best chance to even land a wild card spot. And that's what everybody wants. That's just the bottom line.
And I'll make 2 quick points. One, Derek Carr is finally healthy. And we always say about when he had that significant leg injury, it usually takes about 2 good years for you to really recover mentally and physically from that injury. So now that he's heading into this year, he should be really ready to go. The legs should be fine. There shouldn't be any mental lapses. And then 2, he's got to have fun with football again. I think that's one thing we saw lapses in last season that we were questioning. Is he having fun out there on the field? Yes, it's serious business, but you got to have fun. And I think if Derek Carr can bring back that fun excitement that he had, that we saw him in that MVP type year before he went down with the leg injury, I think he'll be even more successful because he's out there not only handling his business, but he's having fun while doing it.
Absolutely. 253-993-3651. 253-993-3651. That's the calling number.
I just wanted to add one more thing to that whole thing too, because I mean, obviously I've been a Raider fan my whole life, but I've always heard, especially in the last 20 years, how this team has struggled not only offensively but defensively. It's been a hot mess. We're still trying to find the right answers. The closest we ever got was 2016 when Carr was playing like an MVP. And for the first time last year, he actually had a running game, a real true running game, but then he didn't have the wide receivers and no defense. So if we go out and we get that wide receiver and we really get this defense playing up to par and getting some real young, speedy talent back there, we could actually see what a whole team would actually look like on the field. Just saying.
Well, yeah. I read what Fire Bro said. He goes, we don't need to build a team to carry him. He wants him to be the leader and make his teammates better on the field. Look, that's great. I want to have $1 million. I want to have a lot of things in life. You don't always get what you want. And there's plenty of quarterbacks that aren't that type of guy that have been successful in one. Look at I'll use Brady as an example. You know, Brady didn't have the weapons that he had in New England. His play the last 2 years has not been great. Let's be real. If you're really watching the film, he has not been great the last 2 years. So because of that, he went somewhere where there's weapons. Why? Because he knows that's what makes him better. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But also too, Joe, you got to remember this too. The last 2 years, again, which brings me back why I said about Derek Carr, Tom Brady wasn't having fun. Belichick was still on that military style mindset. He's like, dude, I got 6 rings. Like, what else do I need to accomplish? I need to have fun now. Now this needs to be my fun period. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of times we look at the X's and O's and we look at, like, in valid point, he didn't have the weapons that he needed to be successful. But on top of that, guys got to have fun. Like, we always talk about how this is a kid's game, and this is, we're getting, guys talk about how they're getting paid, grown men to play a kid's game, but you got to have a kid like fun too. And if you don't have that, that takes away from what you need to accomplish, and it rides on your head mentally. So I think, again, that's why I think Tom Brady is happier in Tampa than he is in New England, beyond just the talent that's surrounded by him. But the same thing with Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr has to have fun again and be able to say, okay, I got talent around me now, you know, and now I can have fun. I can go out and really be me. I can be that quarterback that can lead a team and lead a franchise to the next level. Because I only am my handling business, but I'm having fun while doing it, and I'm making sure the guys in the locker room are having fun as well.
I agree. Knight, let's go back to the call lines.
All right, here we go.
All right. You're on the Silver and Black Hole podcast. Who's calling?
Hold up. There it goes.
Hold up.
All right, who's on the phone?
What up? What up, Joe? This is Better Rich out the IE. What's happening, bro?
What's up, big boy in the IE? How you doing?
Chilling. Hey, man, I agree with you. Derek Carr is the Raiders' best chance to win next year. However, I don't believe it's going to happen for the whole year. I mean, the knock on Derek Carr is he can't play in the cold. And year after year, he regresses every winter. I mean, 2016 is the exception, not the rule. So it is what it is. I mean, I believe he's an above average quarterback until it gets cold. And that's the proof in the pudding. You can look at all his stats and it will show you that.
No, I agree.
He falls off once he gets cold.
He's trashing the cold. He's trying. Look at Kansas City in the cold. He's bad in rain. Luckily, they play in the dome, and there's 2 dome stadiums they're going to be playing in LA and in Vegas. And yeah, you got Denver and Kansas City. But if you split those 2 games, right, and they say you win out of your 4 home games, you win 3 of them. That's 5 wins right there. You can come up with 4 wins somewhere else, I would think. But I agree. Look. I'm not saying he is the answer, but I'm saying he's the best option right now. Like going into next season.
I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly with you, Joe. But I'm going to say this: since we're trashing the defense, I mean the defense was the reason why we beat the Chargers twice. Oh, I'm sorry, no. The second time Derek Carr won that game. Derek Carr put the team on his shoulder that game. They beat let's see. They beat the Chargers the first game. They beat Indianapolis.
Denver.
I mean, they beat the defense, Denver. I mean, the defense came up big in a lot of games. You have to also remember that Derek Carr is going 3 and out a lot. I mean, yeah, they're chewing up yardage and stuff like this when they can get it going. I mean, but at the same time, he's having Josh Jacobs running into 8, 9-man boxes too. So I just think Josh Jacobs is a special talent because it doesn't matter what you put in front of him, he's gonna get what he's gonna get. And the whole league knew he was getting the rock. And 8, 9-man boxes where Derek Carr should have been feasting down the field, but he kept hearing kill. We're good. And what was it? It was check down to a run or a check down pass. And those come on, man. You watch the games. We all seen this stuff. We all seen it. You know what I mean? So look, I believe he's gonna be our best chance to win immediately in Vegas. I don't think we finish the season with him. I really don't. I could see that because he's rookies.
No, go ahead, brother. I'll let you finish.
Because these players they brought in last year are dogs, and the ones they bring in this year are going to be dogs. They ain't used to this stuff. You mean they want to win? They want to win. I mean, after what happened, against the Jets, who was the one leading the team? It was Josh Jacobs. The loss to the Jags. Trayvon Mullen. You mean those are the leaders on the team? You mean, and everybody's like, oh well, why did you guys bring in Witten? I was like, because probably we need another leader on the offense. You mean? Because maybe the other teammates ain't really feeling Carr. And that's the way I see it. And I was the biggest Carr apologist. The biggest Carr apologist.
Me as well, brother.
I think he got hurt, he got his money, and he ain't been the same. And that, I mean, I'm looking at Carr 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. They're just different. It's a different player.
Well, I agree.
And that's not even.
Go ahead, Nick. You're going to be a different player. You're going to be a different player when you get hurt. I mean, obviously that leg injury was a freak accident, and I think that changed him mentally as well as physically. And a lot of times, certain guys can bounce back from it. Certain guys, it takes them a while to bounce back from it. I don't disagree with you as far as Carr, as far as his level of our level of expectation for Carr, because I think you're absolutely right. You're looking at a guy that you're saying, hey, this is going to be our franchise quarterback, and you need to perform like one each and every season. So I totally agree with you on that.
Hey,
when you talk about the defense, right? When you talk about the defense, though, let's keep the defense in perspective, because the Chargers were absolutely trash at quarterback when they had Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers was a turnover machine, so I can't give too much credit to the defense on that. The defenses know how to take a gift and smile at the horse and keep running. Number two, let's look at the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos couldn't find a quarterback to save their life. They was changing quarterbacks like dudes change their draws. All right, so let's keep that in perspective as well.
Right.
So we can't give too much credit. Again, the Raiders defense is smart enough to know how to take a gift and keep it pushing. But when you look at the Indianapolis Colts, when they had Jacoby Brissett, yeah, that was a good win because Jacoby Brissett was no slouch. He was no scrub. Jacoby Brissett knew how to go out there and handle his business with a solid offensive line, with a guy like T.Y. Hilton, and they had some pieces in there. So I give credit. I agree with you on that aspect. I give credit to the Raider defense when it came to beating the Indianapolis Colts. But let's also look at when they choked, because they couldn't get anything started. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop anything. They had opportunity.
Bro, they were eighth in the league against the run. They stopped the run.
They didn't stop the run that day.
Eighth best run defense.
34-3.
They couldn't stop Minnesota. I'll tell you that much.
No, they couldn't stop Minnesota in a snowstorm. Not at all. So I agree with you on that.
You're
but
right.
I think
You're right.
I like the fact that the Raiders are building up their defense. You're right. They got a lot of dogs on that defense, and that's what you're going to need. And you're going to continue to need to stockpile that type of mentality on the defense, because defense is going to be the one that's going to set the tone, I believe. That's why I believe they brought in guys like Corey Littleton, who are guys like in the locker room that know how to get the job done. But I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with you on Old Man Witten. Old Man Witten should be in a coaching position, not on the goddamn field. Not at all. I'm sorry. I love you, brother.
You're probably
but I
right.
Agree with you on that.
Hey, you're probably right. Hey, Joe. Hey, I love your show. Love your content. I'm always subscribing to everything you got, man. Keep this up, man. Proud of you, brother.
Man, I appreciate it, man. IE, man. We got to hold it down, man. I love it. Hey, man, like real talk. I appreciate that. And this is every week, man. You got this tonight with me and Nick on Tuesdays. You have me and Knight on Wednesdays. On Thursday, and you'll have me and Q doing Q&A again real soon. Once Q gets off his little Kawhi Leonard, leave of absence, because I'm taking some time off. So
man,
you're gonna have better content.
He's the hardest
day,
working man in the business. I can't lie about that, though.
That's my dog right there.
He be going hard in the paint, bro.
Hey,
hard in the paint.
I'm gonna pull the curtain back. Last week I told Q, I hit Q up it was a Tuesday. Like, hey, we're gonna do tomorrow. He's like, yeah. And then Wednesday morning he hits me like, hey, bro, I can't do it tonight. I had something come up. And I was like, oh, okay, I see how it is. So Night and I, we knocked it out. Good show, no problem. And then all of a sudden the next day he has another podcast drop, and I was like, the hell? Like, how many podcasts you doing? Like you do them every day for lockdown, but when it comes to this, it's once a week. I'm like, you kidding me, bro? And I'm right. Playing, and that's my dog. And honestly, hopefully he's back. Gets back within the next week or so. I know he's grinding out there. The show he did with Mo today was phenomenal. I give him 100% credit for that. Great show. And bro, do me a favor when you get a chance, and I don't know if they're open. They probably are. Man, go down to King Taco and grub for me, bro. You know, I haven't had King Taco in about a year, and I'm craving it. And you know how it is when I eat King Taco. You gotta love it.
Oh man, dude, actually, I'm out here in Riverside right now. I came from around the Dino, but you talk about that West End shit. That West End, good.
Hey, there's a spot in Riverside. It's the spot in Riverside. It's on Magnolia and La Sierra called Riverwalk Burger. Best breakfast in Riverside, bro. No bullshit. Riverwalk Burger.
Yeah. The chilaquiles. They got them green chilaquiles and fucking. Oh yeah, come on, bro. You already know. I know.
It's IE, baby. You gotta know it. You gotta love it. Hey man, thanks for calling. Call in tomorrow night for the show, bro. Love to hear from you, man. Hey, keep your family safe too while you out there,
all
bro.
Much love.
Hey,
all right,
safe,
Rich.
Man.
You too. All right, bye.
All right, Rich. All right, Nick, you gotta get out of here right now. You gotta go record another show, right?
Yes, indeed. I was on the move, brother.
Go ahead and plug the show, brother, so we can let everybody know. Go ahead and plug the show what you about to be on. And we'll get out of here in just a minute.
Yo, man, make sure you check me out every Saturday, the morning after with Nick Hamilton, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, Good News Radio Network, and all streaming platforms. And also make sure you check us out at the Opposite Reaction podcast with myself and my other host, Jackie Ray, every week on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/the Opposite Reaction. Make sure you download, subscribe, and very soon be coming on iTunes, Spotify, and all fine streaming platforms where you can get these fine podcasts for free 99.
There you go, free 99. Nick, I know you're gonna jump off. Night will finish this up. I'll talk to you tomorrow for sure. And we're back again next week with another Silver and Black Hole podcast, right?
Absolutely, man. Raider Nation, let's get it. Let's hope we have a full season this year.
Hell yeah. Be safe out there, brother.
Hey, you too, my man. Thanks a lot, guys.
No problem, Nick. Take care.
All right, that's my partner in crime for the Silver and Black Hole podcast, Nick Hamilton. It's Joe Arrigo and Night Now. We're gonna hold it down for the last little bit before we get up out of here. So, at the end of the day, Rodney, we're gonna start them every day about 7:00 Pacific time, brother, in the 7:00 hour. At the end of the day, this is kind of how I just look at things when it comes to the Raiders and this draft. And I said it earlier night when I did an impromptu broadcast this afternoon, and we're still taking your calls to 253-993-3651, 253-993-3651. I'm of the opinion now, if I'm the Raiders and things are as they stand as they are, they don't make any trades back. And who was it that asked me? Was it Gus? Did you ask me how they could possibly get a second round pick, or is that? I think it was Gus that asked me that.
I think it was today or on the other show.
Well, no. Gus asked me just a few moments ago.
Okay.
But if I'm the Raiders, this is what I do. I'll get to answer your question in a second, Gus. But I'm taking the best receiver available at 12 at this point. If it's Judy, if he's gone, if it's CeeDee Lamb, if both of them are gone, then I'm gonna look to move back from 12, and that's how one way you can acquire a second round pick. So I'm not going too far back. But I'm assuming, and I'm pretty sure one of those two guys are going to be there. So let's just say hypothetically it's Judy. So they take Judy at 12. At 19, that's where I think they can move back a few spots, get a second round pick. Let's say they move back to 22, let's say, add a second round pick in there. Let's say they just go back for a second round pick, straight up swap a first and a second round pick. Now you have the opportunity. That's where I believe you're going to see a Grant Delpit taken, the safety out of Louisiana State, LSU. And the reason why I say Delpit and not a linebacker, if you look at the Raiders defense, they ran when they predominantly two linebacker sets when they had, so Murray would be kind of a wasted pick if he's there, if you really think about it, or even Queen. But Delpit is a playmaking safety that can get sideline to sideline. It's a ball hawk that you can work on his tackling, but you have that thud. You have that missile in front of you with Jonathan Abram that's going to be that hitter. So that allows him to play free and really do what he does best, which is create turnovers on the back end. Well, it allows Abram to do what he does best, which is cause fear and pump Kool-Aid in the hearts of the opposing receivers and tight ends.
I could tell you right now, and I asked you on your last show earlier today because I brought that same thing up about us playing the nickel a lot. And I started looking at the moves that they made, even with the pickup of Nelson Aguilar. Look, that guy is not going to be a number one receiver. No one needs to freak out. But they're just making sure that they're lining up weapons. And then you guys were talking tonight about possibly maybe a quarterback with number 12 if they want to go early. Now, I don't really see that happening, to be honest with you. But what I do see happening is them trying to slide back from that number 12 pick and open the board up. If you look how they just went about free agency, they covered all major needs. All major needs have been covered in free agency. I'm not saying it's the answer in free agency. I'm just saying they covered it. So they opened up the front end of that draft big time. I know they want a number 2 pick in the second round. I know they want to maybe go Jalen Hurst there maybe, but I see it, man. Like Kyle, I've been thinking about it all day long, or actually for the past 3 days, really. Is Kyle, like, I want Murray bad, but where do we really put him? I mean, he's a good rotational piece, but you're going to waste a first round pick on a rotational piece when you can get a Delpit, you can get an extra cornerback, or even you double up on wide receiver and really solidify this offense. Like, the board's wide open, and I'm kind of confused myself already, but I don't know if it's going to be linebacker.
See, and what swayed me towards Delpit, and I watch a lot of film. Like I was up last night till almost 2 a.m. watching film. And the other night before that, I was up watching film, listening to New Edition. And
really?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was doing that. No, she was asleep. Jaleesa was asleep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just me. Like, this is my time.
You're just vibing on your own. Got you.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, like, Delpit all season long stood out to me as the best safety in college football, to me. And to see what he did on the back end of the LSU secondary, I'm telling you, if I could move back, or instead, and I say you move back to 22 and you add Delpit, right? So you have Judy and Delpit, and you add a second round pick, AJ Terrell, the cornerback from Clemson. Yeah, LSU, Justin Jefferson torched his ass in the national championship game, but that's Justin Jefferson. He's going to do that to DBs. But he's a guy that, again,
always throwing that plug in.
Absolutely. But he's a guy you can have him playing off. He can play off man, and he's a good job sitting. And now you have, again, 2, 3, 4 young corners, 2 young safeties, and you have that's a very solid group. And then there's guys like a Willie Gay Jr., like Chip Gay Jr., that you can get in the 3rd round. If you watch this film, like I said, the dude's a fucking monster. You look at, they got the kid from Tennessee whose knee, I think he had a knee injury and was a little slow, coming back from it. He's another one that's going to slide to the 3rd or the 4th round. He's always a guy that's around the ball. Dye from Oregon is probably going to be a 3rd, 4th round pick if you want to get an inside linebacker that's athletic. You can wait a little bit longer for them, but if you can get two difference makers, 2 playmakers on the back end and a legitimate number 1 receiver, now you're cooking with fish grease, as my man Q likes to say.
Right. And again, you're also looking at the fact that if you look at what we've done in free agents, because this is all backed up by their moves, right? They've really freed up that board. But if there was one piece that I'm not happy with, it's the secondary. I don't think we both can agree that Heath's not our favorite pick in the draft. I mean, or in the free agents. You're like, well, they picked him up and he's going to be a good special team piece, but I don't see him being the big difference maker back there in the secondary. Eli Apple, do I need to say anything more? I know we're paying him $6 million. Everybody expects for him to start there, but a 1-year deal doesn't say, I swear I say that was a panic pickup. Once they lost Chris Harris, they didn't know what was going on with Slay. Hey, pay him, get him in here. Let's just give him the guaranteed money and get him in here. I don't see him being long-term. So I could totally see them addressing the secondary with that second pick in the 1st round.
I will say, I don't think Apple was a pick where they kind of felt pressure and they kind of like, oh, we need to sign a corner. They did their due diligence on him. They're hoping that he turns into something. So they can, let's say, catch lightning in a bottle, get him on a 1-year deal. He plays well.
$6 million when they were in on Slay too. It just lets me know that
Slay got what? Look at the extension Slay got. I mean, and look at he got 3rd round and big money from the Eagles.
Right.
I mean, for a guy
that's why we were out, by the way. That's why we were out. But I'm just saying that's what they wanted him.
Exactly.
So he's Apple's 3rd option.
Exactly. So you have him, and that's fine. I mean, hell, Xavier Rhodes is coming off 2.5 really bad years with Minnesota. If you watch the tape, I've watched Devontae Adams torch his ass and beat him like a redheaded stepchild. You know what I mean? So, and thank you, Chris. Slay is the highest paid corner now. So the two guys that the Raiders were really in on, Slay and Byron Jones, are the 2 highest paid corners in football. Chris Harris turned the Raiders down. He wanted to go play with more talent, as he put it, down in LA with the Chargers. And okay, fine. And I get it. If that's what you want to do, that's your world. Go do that. But I think the Raiders right now are in a position where, and I seen somebody say in the comments that we're not going to be in this position next year. It's going to be tighter, considering salary cap. No, you're not. The Raiders aren't, because they're on 1-year deals, which means that money's going to be freed up. The salary cap is at damn near $200 million. It's probably going to go to 210 or 215 next year. And if that's actually the case, now you have a lot more money to play with going into it, and you may not have Carr. Now you have more assets to potentially move up and go get a quarterback or get the guy that you want, or you never know what quarterbacks are going to be available. Let's say Green Bay says, you know what? Let's say Jordan Love slides to 30, or even Justin Herbert in Green Bay. I'm using them as an example because Aaron Rodgers is on the back end of his career, and they pull, okay, we're going to draft the rookie and sit him for a year. Or hell, look at Tampa Bay. They're Brady's, he's 42, 43.
Yeah, Tampa's in the business.
Yeah, he's on the other side of it, right? So I just feel like at this point, the Raiders are going to be, and they're going to do certain things that are, they're going to do certain things, they have a better idea where they're going to be at long term than you, me, or anybody else, even though we're doing various things.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? They deal with it every day.
Every day. That's like they're living and breathing it. I mean, we're just sitting here analyzing it from behind the seats, right? We're not in those meeting rooms. We don't know what their real game plan, even for Derek Carr, is. And that's why I said I don't think they're worried about quarterback. I think, that's why I don't see that happening at the 12. I think they want Jalen Hurst, don't get me wrong. And I think if they could find a way to get into the second and make that happen, they will do that. But I just see this team being more set up to selling the ship next year and going up and getting whoever it may be, because they're building up a salary roster here that we're not going to be able to fulfill, especially if we start winning. So, we have to let this thing play out. But I really see them. I mean, it has to be wide receiver. Wide receiver is going to happen in the first round, but they don't necessarily have to do it for 12. Unless they can move out of that spot. So, I mean, there's going to be a quarterback shuffle still happening. You got San Diego, like you said, Tampa Bay, New England's now in that mix. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks going early, and that's still going to open up the board in the back end. So I like the fact that it's a bit of a mystery. I love that it's a mystery at this point, man, because I don't like going into it going, oh, it has to be that guy. It doesn't have to be any guy right now. It just has to be the right guy. I mean, the only position I say that's an absolute is wide receiver at this point.
I agree. And Firebro says the Raiders paid Eli Apple and Jason Witten $10 million. Something's wrong. He agreed with you, Knight, that the Raiders panicked. But I'll put it to you like this. Let's look at it from a different perspective, okay?
What's up to Firebro, by the way? That's my dude.
Let's look at it from a different perspective, right? $10 million for 2 players that are going to be gone in a year, instead of being stuck for 15 or 17 million that you're stuck with for the next 3, and that price is going to continue to go up till it's almost 20 million. You see what I'm saying? Sure, yeah, you're going to bite the bullet right now, go for this season, but next off season things are going to change. You don't know who's going to be cut. Look at Jadeveon Clowney. Look at his market. Look at what Robbie Anderson got. Basically, it's a 1-year, $7.5 million deal from the Panthers today. Look at what Devin Funchess got, a league minimum deal. So when you look at it, this is something that's a little bit, I think it's a little bit different. And the Raiders are looking at the long play. Honestly, it'd be a long play.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I think I don't agree. I like Witten. I do. I think Witten's a perfect gap filler, especially for Moreau. I'm not big on Eli Apple. I mean, I know the kid's talented, and I know that with every opportunity, there's a chance. So I'm not going to totally knock the pick. It just felt weird to me, but they're all favorable contracts. We've been talking about that all night too. They're not in bed with these guys. I think the only ones that they're truly in bed with are maybe Nassib, but I think it's friendly to cut him later on. But they gave him a 3-year deal. Corey Littleton. I mean, guys that matter, but they're making them earn it, and I think that speaks volume too.
Yeah, and again, if you're looking at guaranteed money, Kowalski, $13.5 million.
They want him in the middle.
Nassib, $17 million.
Mm-hmm.
Littleton, $22 million. That's guaranteed money.
Those are the three dogs they brought into play.
Right. And Malik Collins, 5.75. He's a guy that's going to get paid.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year. That's the thing. So you figure if you add Collins, let's say you add Collins to that the mix of those guys, that's 15 million. Okay, almost 16 million. We'll say 15. We'll say 16 because Nelson Aguilar got almost $887,000. Those are all 1 year deals. That next year is going to be off of your books, and you'll be able to go get somebody or two. Now, Firebro brings up the point where if a player gets cut and they can't acquire him because they don't have the cap space, you can get creative with cap space. There are certain things that can be moved from bonuses or from workout bonuses to signing bonuses or signing bonuses to workout bonuses. So however they do it, those guys are way smarter than me. I know
I'm not a financial guy, man.
Yeah, and I know the legal dudes. Danny Ventrell is a good dude, and he knows what the hell he's doing. The guys that work the contracts know what they're doing. And no one's gonna cut a player in the next unless he does some stupid asinine, just dumb shit. If he pulls he pulls a Antonio Brown and does some dumb shit, then that's the type of guy that do you want him in your organization to begin with?
I haven't read the full the contracts. I don't know if you've seen all of the details. Sometimes these don't even kick in unless they make the team, and I haven't seen which contract has that in. I'm sure Littleton's fine and Kwiatkowski, but guys like Nelson Aguilar, I don't think they're guaranteed unless they make the squad, right? Just like Brandon Marshall last year.
Look, whatever the cap hit is, I think Chris is great with numbers. If Chris, you have the numbers, but I think it's like let's say it is 887,000. If that's the cap hit. That's nothing for these guys. That's a normal cap hit.
That's free money to them, man.
Exactly, because you're dealing with monopoly money. Yep. So you have a lot of flex.
TV money, what we call it, guys. TV money.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, let's be real about this. They can do what they want with the money because they know how to move it. Honestly, and they're not gonna take a $6 million cap hit unless the guy does something stupid. And sometimes if the person is cut before the start of the season or whatever, it doesn't even count against the cap. And now with the new CBA, they can spread it out over a couple years, like for 2 years. So those are things that have to be taken into account too. So let's say you cut Eli Apple in $6 million, and that's the hit, right?
Yep.
It could be $3 million this year, $3 million next year.
But I'll say this about Eli Apple, because that's my initial thought, right? When I'm looking at this team, long-term starting, all that, Eli Apple might not be my favorite guy because I don't feel like he's done enough in other places to earn that. However, he does have a talent level that this team needs, whether he starts or not. You're going to want him on this squad. Injuries happen all the time. We're not only just in a passing league, we're in a passing conference. I mean, except for we don't know what San Diego is going to bring to the table, but they're going to get a slinger one way or the other. And having a guy with Eli Apple's talents and using them correctly might be help down the road. I'm just not saying it's not my first and foremost favorite pick they picked up, but he does have a talent. Just hope that he could use it right.
Nick and I were talking prior to the show, and we didn't get a chance to. We'll bring it up next week. But Nick seems to think Cam Newton's going to end up with the Chargers.
And I see that happening. I think the Chargers are playing the smart. Carolina's backed themselves into a position where they're going to pay Cam or let him go, right? It's the same with Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay. They're going to have to make a decision with both those guys at some point. If they're probably going to give it through draft time and see if they can move them during draft day. A lot of times things move. But at this point, because they already solidified their next starter, they're not going to get what they want for them.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that for me, I have. When it comes to Cam, I look at it like if a team really wanted Cam, they weren't going to trade for him knowing that the Panthers were going to cut him.
And
now that he's free, why would a team that wants to pass? Well, no, but he took a physical a couple of days ago in Atlanta, and he got it all back. So he has an updated physical like from within the last week, so he can send that to teams. But the thing is, and it's from an independent doctor, so it's not the Panthers doctor or whatever. So it's viewed upon favorably. But the thing is this: Cam Newton has trouble throwing the ball. His accuracy is suspect.
Very inconsistent.
He's got a cannon for an arm, and he takes a bunch of hits. But you're right; he's very inconsistent as a passer. Would Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry and the guys they have on that team wanted Mike Williams? Like, are they going to want that? I mean, that would
be favorable.
Yeah,
Cam Newton
cool
at his age. Cam Newton at his age right now, I'm okay with it. It's not going to be as scary as Cam Newton 3 or 4 years ago.
No, exactly. And I'll take it a step further, and I may be in the minority. Quite frankly, I'll take Jameis Winston over Cam Newton.
Well, I mean, I like the 30 picks opportunity. Maybe the Raiders can get 10 of those.
Oh shit. Well, I'm not talking about it from that standpoint. I know I'm crazy for saying that. But I mean, look, Cam will go somewhere and be a starter. I think the only place he's going to get that opportunity is in LA with the Chargers, to be very frank. But Jameis Winston, he's going to be a backup somewhere. He led the league in yardage, was second in touchdowns and first in interceptions. But this is a guy that threw for the most yards in the NFL last year.
He could throw the rock, though, man.
But how many of that was on him? And how many of that was on receivers running the wrong routes or tip balls or things of that nature?
It's hard to say, but Winston has proven that he could throw the ball. Now, he's also proven that he's having a hard time reading defenses, or maybe he's pushing too hard. So I see him as a backup for a year somewhere, but he's one of those guys that can sneak up on you, a la Plunkett, right? We've seen that. We see Rich Gannon, right? He's one of those guys that gets that next chance, and he learns from his mistakes, and it gets right in the right situation. He's proven that he could throw the ball. You don't get those kind of numbers, yardage and touchdowns, by not being able to throw the football.
Exactly. And Fibro brings up even his ex-coach didn't want him traded for his backup. Well, he also was going to be more affordable. Like, let's be real about that.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, you got to have yeah, I thought Washington would have been a really good landing spot for Cam Newton, only because he's from that area with a support group there with Rivera and the rest of the guys that are there. I was kind of surprised that didn't happen. But getting Allen, look, Dwayne Haskins, the writing's on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to move him. And that's be the last thing for tonight for me. Night is you go back and look at the tweets and the reports last year. The Raiders love Daniel Jones. The Raiders love insert quarterback Kyler Murray. The Raiders love said quarterback, and then the Raiders like Josh Rosen, and then none of them ever happened.
Brady,
and then this year it's Brady. It's
Winston.
Tua. It's Winston. It's every quarterback in the draft, and it's like
Tom Brady's ball boy. All of them. They wanted them all.
So people like to use the Raiders name because the brand is strong, and it's no different than if you're a Yankee fan or a Dodger fan. Teams are going to use your team, and agents are to raise the price and to make people believe, especially since John Gruden is known for quarterbacks for whatever reason. He's known for quarterbacks. And I'm not shitting on John, but let's be real. John's only won with veteran quarterbacks. He resurrected Rich Gannon's career. But when you look at Brad Johnson in Tampa, Chris Sims,
that was a defensive championship.
Yeah. I mean, like there's Sean Hill.
Yeah.
Like there's some question marks there.
There's no one there yet that he could put claim to.
Yeah, Gannon is his guy, and a lot of coaches only have one. Not too many people have more than that. I mean, Tony Dungy lucked up with Peyton Manning. Let's be real, and he wasn't even that wasn't even his guy. To be honest, that was
not Vermeer.
Mora's
Who was
guy.
Mora? There you go.
Yeah, Mora. So I mean, it just depends on just like Aaron Rodgers is going to be Mike McCarthy, but really it was Sherman was the coach that drafted him.
Right.
So it's just one of those things. They like to stir the pot and and try to maximize their client's value, because the Raiders people are like to rip Carr. And look, in Raider Nation, I'm going to ask you this: when we do our shows daily, let's not turn this into a Derek Carr.
Oh man, it's over.
Dumpster fire or whatever. Like I'm so
it's
done
set in
talking about
stone.
Derek.
I'm done. There's nothing else I could say. All I'm going to be doing is regurgitating everything that I've been saying for the past 2 months. And like I said, love him, hate him. He's the dude. He's the guy that knows the offense. I mean, look, it's either going to go well or it's not going to go well. So I mean, at this point, get your popcorn and watch the show.
That's right. It's rolling dubs, Sean. Sean goes, what's Joe think about the Packers picking up Devin Funchess? It's for the veteran minimum. All right. He's not going to be Devontae Adams' partner. Like, that guy is going to be drafted. It's what it is. Whatever.
Free agency is a time just to, right now, man, people are grabbing people for the roster, man, for competition. And I mean, look, we go into camp with like 93 dudes. We got a 53-man roster. All these guys ain't going to be here.
Roster gets moved up to like, I think 54, 55
this year.
Yeah, I'm either this year or 2021. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But I mean, but still, I mean, look at the gap there, right? So let's call it 54, 55. We're still bringing in usually 93 to 95 players. This roster is going to change, even with some of the guys are picking up. That's why I said the Nelson Aguilar thing doesn't worry me too much. He's either going to make something happen or he's not. He will either be here or he won't be here.
Now, Gus wants to know, is the stadium roof up yet? It's about 75% complete. I think they'll be done if things go well by the end of the week, rain and everything permitted. And I said this last week on the show night. I said I believe that the Death Star Stadium is going to be done before SoFi.
That'd be pretty sick.
I mean,
that'd be pretty sick. I can't wait to see it complete.
Me either. Like when I get back home, it's gonna be special. You know what I'm saying? Because I left and I seen it and I was like, okay, it's looking good. It's like almost 90% complete. And that's amazing. And in talking with Tommy White months ago, Tommy was like, hey buddy, let me tell you, buddy, it's gonna be done on time. It's gonna be done beforehand. And Tommy with his New York accent, and I'm gonna get Tommy on this. I'm gonna get Tommy to jump on with us because that's my guy right there. I love that dude to death. Great dude. But look, at the end of the day, I think it's great that we're talking about this stuff because it takes our mind off of everything that's going on.
I'm into that.
And and we need that as a society and as a people. And for us to be able to bitch and complain about Derek Carr or defend Derek Carr or bitch and complain about free agent signings and how much they got paid versus people right now that are fighting for toilet paper and fighting for, just the right to live.
That's sad because that was my highlight of my day is I got some toilet paper, y'all. I mean, that's sad. That you're living in the time where your parent rolls up and says, look what I got at Costco. And you're like, oh, no way. You know what I mean? You're excited over a package of toilet paper.
Yeah. So
crazy.
So Rodney Jenkins wants to know, are they going to push the draft back or is it happening? The NFL wants it to happen. The GMs think they should push it back. The NFL's like, no, we're pushing forward. And you know what? I'm going to believe you got to move forward.
We need content. So keep it moving.
I'm selfish. Damn it. Franchise Sports Media needs the content besides just podcasts. We need to have the draft. Damn it. Make the draft go one round for the next 7 weeks. I don't give a damn.
Spread it out.
let's spread it out and have a good time. But all joking aside, they're gonna have it, you know. And the NFL, if the NFL doesn't, it's because they have shut down. They're at the stay at home now, a stay at home business now as well. That happened this evening. Tomorrow, I believe 6:00 Eastern time. All team offices will be shut down until I believe April 6th or April 10th, one of the 2 days.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know, at the end, most teams were doing that anyway. People were working from home. Hell, I'll say this much. Welcome to my world. This is what I do all day. I work from home. I've been telecommuting for 4 years, and even not 5 years really. And you know, the thing that's tough about it is you have to kind of be disciplined. And where I'm at now, you know, I'm at my girl's crib and with her kids, and you know what I'm doing is I'm helping them. I'm finding myself during the day helping them with their homework. You know, I'm helping a 5-year-old learn how to write his name, and I'm getting so much enjoyment out of that. At the same time, my phone's blowing up and I'm texting back and I'm making phone calls or I'm doing a show, and I'm trying to put, you know, I'm writing for franchise, writing a blog or something. And you have to stay structured and disciplined. It can be so easy to get off the beaten path, because there's like, at one point today, I sat down on the couch and I was like, I'm ready to take a nap. It was probably 11 o'clock. Like, I'm ready to knock out. I took a shower. I ate lunch. I'm like, I'm done, homie. And she looked at me. Huh?
It's all catching up to you, right? It's just like, it's mentally getting to you where you're just like, I'm gonna chill.
It is. And Jaleesa looked at me. He's like, you do, I'm gonna kick you in your big ass head. And I was like, damn. All right, maybe I'm not gonna take a nap. So but really at the end of the day, like, it's great to have these distractions. Chris says April 8th. I didn't read the email. I'm just going off what Pilasaro, what Tom put out there. And you know what, we're gonna start reaching out to people and try to get them to jump on and do some interviews and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what Squeeze is up to. I like to get Squeeze on with Nick, maybe. You know what I'm saying? And
that sounds like a fun one.
Oh God. I took them. Okay, before we get out of here, I'm gonna share the story for all my LA people. I took, after the USC UNLV game 2 years ago, I took Squeeze and Nick. We met. Squeeze and I drove out together because we were in SoCal, and Nick met us at Bledsoe's. It's on Wilshire and Clinton, and it's a barbecue joint. And man, Squeeze and I we're beat from the game. I mean, when you recover a game, it's like, okay, you're in the press box and you eat a shitty lunch in the press box because the Coliseum was being renovated, and they gave us this shitty tuna sandwich, and it was just bad. And we were starving because you have like the barbecue out at the Coliseum and it smells good. I mean, it's phenomenal. And you're like, oh, I want to get some of this, but then you're looking at the prices. You're like $20 for a freaking
chicken wing,
you know, like baked chicken or barbecue chicken, and like, you're crazy. So we go to Bledsoe's, and we have, you know, we throw a couple of adult beverages back, and we have some really good, probably the best, one of the 2 best barbecue places in LA. I forget the other one. It's on Crenshaw, and it looks like an old house, and they turn it into, but it's you go in there, you order your food, and you wait, and then they tell you to come up, and it's phenomenal. I want to say it's on Crenshaw. I'm almost sure it's on Crenshaw, but anyway, so we go to Bledsoe's, and that's the first time Squeeze and Nick had met each other. We got there, let's say 3:30-ish, 4. We walked out of there like 10:30 at night. It was one of those things where we were like dead tired, and they were going back and forth, and the debates were flying, and libations were flying, and Squeeze and I made it back to the IE. And needless to say, I wasn't the one that talked the most that night. It was those two. I actually was quiet. That never happens. So,
oh man. Well, there might be our new Pardon the Interruption or the debate show right there.
Yeah, get those two. I mean, hell, we could make it into what's it called? What's the one where Tony Reale hosts and you got the 4 people in cubes?
Oh yeah. It's oh man, It's been a while since I watched
Around the Horn.
Around the Horn. There you go. Yeah. There you go.
But it'll be a lot longer because nobody can shut up. So anyway, Raider Nation, this has been the Silver and Black Hole podcast. You can hear it on SB Nation's Silver and Black Pride podcast network. You can turn around, also hear it on franchisesportsmedia.com, as well as I'm saying to Nick to see if he's gonna put that on Nightfall Media. Give them all a follow. Nick Hamilton at Nick Hamilton LA, myself at Joe Arrigo ARRIGO, at the W2W, which I think you're gonna be changing that.
Yeah, it's changing. Yeah.
You know what? Let's do this. Let's talk about that real quick before we get out of here. Like, can you explain why you had to change from the Will to Win to everything else?
Yeah, I put it out. I think I put it out on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. I got copyrighted, and no, I did not get copyrighted by the Raiders. And I'm gonna keep this as professional as possible because that's what I do. I'm just moving forward. Look, the people over at Franchise Sports Media are freaking awesome, dude, and they've given me an opportunity and to work with some great people that have been doing this a lot longer than not only have I ever had, but to take me to the level that I've been working hard for. Like I'm lined up to go to school to do this stuff, guys. This is not something that I'm just doing just to do, man. I love doing this stuff, and they give me an opportunity. And in that process, I lost a partner. Okay. And there's some hurt feelings, and that's the way things roll. And it got a little nasty, but in all honesty, this was my channel. That was his name. And we just couldn't come to the right agreement. We couldn't coexist, but nothing but love for people in the Raider Nation. Nothing love for Pete Pirate. You know that. I've said that. I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, but the name is his. He takes it. I move on, and we're going to make this Franchise Raider podcast.
The FRP. So there'll be a new logo coming out in the next, maybe even by tomorrow's show. Hopefully. But hopefully Raider Nation likes it. So with that being said, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., come back and join us. Night's FRP is going to be jumping off. I'll jump on with him, and we'll see who else we can get on. Make it a growing, continue growing it. Follow us at Franchise Sports Media on our YouTube page, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media joints. And Knight's Twitter is at the W2W. So at THEW2W. That's Knight's Twitter handle. Mine at Joe Arrigo ARRIGO. And I want to thank all the callers for calling in. You guys did it. Miguel, Rich, you guys did a phenomenal job. Call in tomorrow when we get back on here. Don't wait till the end of the show either. Call in the beginning and middle.
And real quick too, guys, this is not a Google number. This is an actual phone line where you call in. You'll be put in line. So it puts you right in line. I take it from top to bottom, and you can listen to the show while you're on hold. So don't worry about, it being busy or anything like that. Just call in.
For real. And all you guys for tuning in on whatever method you tuned in on, if it was Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, whatever method you turned in, I deeply appreciate it. All of us do at Franchise Sports Media and the Silver and Black Pride Podcast Network, powered by SB Nation. And last but not least, and I'm gonna end like this: everybody, keep your asses inside, wash your hands, cough in your elbow or your armpit area, whatever. The sooner we do this and we get through all this,
get our lives back.
Hell yeah, get our lives back in. Yeah, Rich, I'm in a cave. I'm actually in my girl's kid's room, and I found a cool little backdrop, nothing but black. I may end up having her put the Raider symbol behind me just so I have the shield behind me, so you guys, it doesn't look too cave-ish.
We'll get upgrades. We'll be getting upgrades soon. We'll get going.
Absolutely. Anyway, folks, be safe out there. God bless you. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow on the Silver and Black Pride Podcast Network, powered by SB Nation, as well as the Franchise Raiders Podcast Network. Have a great night, folks.
Hey, Raiders strong.